It's no secret that water is our most valuable commodity here in the desert, and there were times when it wasn't as easily obtainable. Well, Steve Summerall recalls one such instance with the help of the Palm Desert Historical Society in this week's edition of Our Desert Past.
So the story of Palm Desert is very much the story of water.
Or the lack of it. If you were a resident of the Coachella Valley during the homesteading years, you had to be close to where the water was, which was pretty scarce at the time.
There was Indio, there was the Indian well which is where now in La Quinta, and then the next permanent water station were the artisanal waters in Palm Springs.
Due to their water availability, La Quinta and Palm Springs were easily designated stagecoach stops. There was one more optional stagecoach stop in the area now known as Palm Desert. It was called Sandhole Station.
And that was because there was one spring and it was seasonal and intermittent. So you could not always guarantee that there was water, and it was often murky. So it wasn't a preferred stop.
This highlighted what was the biggest problem with Palm Desert at the time.
If you wanted water, you had to drill. And that was a significant undertaking. So putting in a private well was a risky endeavor, because you're making all this effort and you're using this steel, and you may or may not hit water. The county of San Diego actually came out, because this was actually San Diego County way back when. They came out here and they put in 2 wells before 1900, both of which no longer exist because they were destroyed during floods.
So the chore of getting water to any given property became the responsibility of the individual landowner. One such landowner was the first mayor of Palm Springs, Philip Boyd.
Now, what he had done was purchase a huge tract of land out here. It's the area which now includes the Deep Canyon Ranch, the Philip Boyd Research Station, and the Living Desert.
He was living in Palm Springs. He was the mayor of Palm Springs. He wasn't really, he just wanted to make sure that there was some nice open desert that he could go and enjoy.
With the arrival of the 20th century, the desert was beset with a new set of problems. The United States became involved with 2 world wars, and most of the steel needed to build wells had to be rationed for the war effort. Also serving the war effort was Philip Boyd, who leased his Deep Canyon Ranch to the government during World War II.
The military was using this area for maneuvers. Right on Highway 111 was the vehicle repair station, because all these vehicles were going out into the desert for the first time in preparation for the Africa assault, and they were getting clogged up with sand. And so it was really important that all these vehicles be kept in tip-top shape. So that's why they were using Philip Boyd's Deep Canyon Ranch.
The military's efforts also brought the most valuable of desert commodities.
The military also needed water, right? But they had access to steel. They did quite a few, a huge number of wells, and almost always hit water. We now know we have a big old aquifer underneath us.
So, during the time that Patton's troops were training in the Coachella Valley, the water continued to flow. Then the war ended and the troops left.
As the war ended and as the military was going to pull out, Philip Boyd came out to see his land, and he was like, "Yee-haw! I got me all sorts of wells." And the military looked at him and said, "If you think we're leaving all that steel behind, you are wrong." And he sat there and watched as they pulled up every well because the steel was so needed.
For Our Desert Past, Steve Summerall, NBC Palm Springs, News First.